Hello and welcome to episode 2 of CONFPOD, the podcast dedicated to Bitcoin conference organizers, where we try to share some tips and tricks and secrets to help you better organize your Bitcoin conference. Today, we are very fortunate to have with us 3 fine gentlemen representing not only Bitcoin MENA, the only Bitcoin conference in the MENA region, but also John Dreew and Jack Fife from Bitcoin Day. The introductions today are brought to you by ChatGPT, which is not a real sponsor, but ChatGPT, because writing an email was already too hard. Let's just make it automated. So Gregg Davis, the organizer of the Bitcoin MENA Conference, is the driving force behind that conference, the first major Bitcoiner-only event in the Middle East, North Africa region. With a background in Bitcoin mining and an eye for building community where it's most needed, Gregg launched Bitcoin MENA to foster local adoption, education, and networking across Arabic-speaking nations and beyond. He's passionate about bringing Bitcoin to frontier markets and creating events that are as serious about decentralization as they are about hospitality. Gregg, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ed. Pleasure to be with you.
And by the way, if you ever need a yacht in Dubai, Gregg's your guy. He's done a lot of stuff on big boats. Yeah. Also with us is John Drew, the co-organizer of Bitcoin Day, a traveling grassroots Bitcoin conference series, making stops in cities across the U.S. with a strong focus on local community education. John helps design single-day events that introduce Bitcoin to newcomers, connect local plebs, and support small businesses that accept sats. John, glad to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
And finally, Jack Fife, the co-organizer of Bitcoin Day, the other half of the team. Jack brings a mix of operations know-how and a filled passion to the table, helping coordinate speakers, vendors, and venues as Bitcoin Day hops from one city to the next. He's hands-on with everything from logistics to local outreach, and he's committed to keeping the events purely Bitcoin-focused. No distractions, no noise. Jack, welcome aboard.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. How did ChatGPT do there? Okay?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like to start with a nice, easy question. So tell me about the worst thing that's ever happened at one of your conferences. What was the biggest disaster? Who wants to start? This is for us to help our listeners kind of relate to the disasters that they have, so that you can kind of admit you've had ones as well. John?
I'll start. Sure. We did a Bitcoin Day in Naples in 2024. And at a venue, that was the first time we were using the venue, and the venue owner told us that everything would be set up and everything would be working. And when we came in early in the morning to do the sound check, everything was set up and everything was working. And as the morning went on and people were gathering and coffee was being served and everybody was having a good time, and it was about time to start, everything went out. The AV all went out. I'm just speaking just specifically of the AV. The screens went out, the sound went out, everything was poop. And so we had to get the vendor or the venue person on the phone, and she was not happy because we do our events on Saturdays, and she tried to get us to do everything every which way to fix it without having to come in. And finally, 30 minutes later, she walks in her sweats and no makeup and and had to go into the locked room and reset the thing and get us going a half hour late.
So basically, you turned it off and on again.
Essentially, That's all she had to do is turn it on and off again. But they refused to give us the keys to the back room where we could do it, and they refused to teach us how to do it ourselves. They said, "Don't worry, we've never had a problem."
Yeah. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, similar story?
Yeah. Well, let me just add to that one. The takeaway and the lesson is we realized how important, our audio kit is, and as well as the video presentation and everything that went with our speakers and the slides and the backgrounds and the whatnot. And then, of course, we were almost on the precipice of live streaming. And so that episode right there really kicked us in the rear end about taking command and control of it and not just relying on the in-house, like whatever promises kind of stuff. And so we've been steadily building and becoming more reliable and predictable and kind of stabilizing those pieces, because they're really such a big part of not only the live presentation, but now we've gotten much more into recording it and kind of helping to repurpose the footage and the capture and stuff like that. So in a way, it was like a blessing in disguise. It was kind of one of those kind of things that it was painful in the moment, but most everybody kind of forgave us. And then, we ended up still having a great day. And then we learned a lot.
Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've just blacked out all of the bad memories of things that happened or something. Maybe I fixed the problems and then just move on to the next thing to worry about. But I mean, there was a couple of embarrassing moments. Just because we're speaking about Bitcoin conferences specifically, I used to work at the venue where we do Bitcoin MENA, and I've done a bunch of events in that hall, and I could list lots and lots of problems with those, because most of those were around boats, as you said earlier, Ed. That's what my background was originally, and there's everything that possibly can go wrong with boats. Certainly happened to me during that time there. But I think for the conference last year, one of the major ones was we had a really, really, really important person that was given a meeting room, which was kind of outside of the footprint of the floor. And it was communicated far and wide that this was not to be going, and nobody should to be going in there. And sadly, every time this gentleman left and returned back to his office, there was random volunteers all just sitting in there eating KFC and all kinds of stuff going on. And yeah, that was, if it happens once, it's bad. If it happens twice, it's bad. But when it happens the fifth time, yeah, people start getting pretty annoyed. But yeah, that was just the standout from last year, really.
Yeah, great. Well, let's stick with you, Greg. So Bitcoin MENA was part of BTC Inc.'s global expansion plans when they did the Bitcoin Asia, Bitcoin MENA. Tell us the origin story and your background in Bitcoin and how they found you and how quickly you put that thing together.
Yeah, I've got one of those like super cool like Bitcoin stories, I guess. There's a lot of people at BTC Inc. that have like been to conferences and then ended up working for the company, and just a lot of people try to get jobs in Bitcoin. They go to the conferences, etc. Mine's is a little bit different. I've been based here in the UAE for 10 years. Actually, in Dubai is where I reside. And I was just, I got into. I started to understand my background. I thought it was all my own doing, but apparently I'm from sort of a family of people that like didn't trust banks and stuffed mattresses and all that stuff. I'm finding out a lot about my grandma now when I'm sort of going down sort of the rabbit hole of where my sort of distrust for governments and banks have come from. Apparently it's ingrained in me, but I was interested in the space when I was working on board boats. I started to look into the Federal Reserve and all that kind of stuff, as everybody does. And it was, certainly our friend Ross Elbrick helped to get a lot of people into understanding or at least using Bitcoin back in the day. But I was living here and I was working in marinas, and I was going to sort of crypto events in Dubai. And I was just getting really disheartened that a lot of the things that I was seeing, this was like people's first exposure into this kind of industry, and nobody was talking about Bitcoin. Everybody was having problems, solutions for problems that don't exist. And I found it really, really disheartening. So I was working at the center at the time where we're doing Bitcoin MENA, and I started to send a few messages out on Twitter to Justin Duchin and a few other people I could find that worked for the conference, and said, look, I work at this cool place in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi is the capital of the country. It's where the central bank is. It's where most sovereign wealth is. They're already doing cool stuff with Bitcoin and the power grid. And I just really love the optics. And I just sort of said, I think the first Bitcoin only conference in this region, should be in Abu Dhabi, where the real power is. And Dubai can have the kind of crypto, events, and Abu Dhabi should be where the sort of serious sort of discussions happen. So yeah, a few little messages on Twitter, and then Mike Germano coming over and checking out the venue and meeting the team. And And yeah, a couple of years later, I had left. A year later, I'd left the event, left the company, and I started working in another one. And then your previous guest, Ed Brandon, called me up and said, "Look, man, this can't go down without you. So do you want to come on board?" So yeah, crazy turn of events that me and a few messages on Twitter saying that we need a Bitcoin conference in Abu Dhabi has turned into me representing the company in the Middle East and North Africa. So yeah, really. Yeah, I'm still pinching myself if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's kind of the feeling that people get once they're working in Bitcoin. It's just like, how did this all happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. John, when you and I first met, I became an instant fan of Bitcoin Day, and I love the locality of it. I think I talked to you in Edmond, and tell us about Bitcoin Day and how it came about and what you guys have built.
Well, so I have to give the credit to starting Bitcoin Day it's Edward Winiger. And he started it back in 2021. He's from Omaha, and the Berkshire Hathaway annual stockholders meeting is in Omaha every year. And so he set up Bitcoin Day as a sort of a parallel event, and it was taking place the same time as the Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting. And that's back in the day when Warren Buffett was calling Bitcoin rat poison. I think he still does, but so it was kind of a fuck you, Warren, we're going to have this Bitcoin event right at the same time that you're having your event, and it started from there, and he took it on the road in 21 and 22 during the bull market, and went to about 9 different cities, and then I came into the picture in 22, late in 22. We had a conference here in Naples, not related to Bitcoin Day, but I invited Greg Foss and Stephen Lupka and a local Bitcoiner, Matty Ice, to speak at a conference. And Greg was headed off to Bitcoin Day, Sioux Falls. And so I contacted Edward after I'd learned about what Bitcoin Day was and asked him, how do we do one in Naples? Because I run our local meetup group here in Naples, and that's how I got started. We did a Bitcoin Day Naples in 2023. I brought together the community and gathered enough support for financial support from sponsors here in Naples. And then, the 2023, that was our January 23 was our Bitcoin Day Naples. And then, the bear market hit and we dropped back down into 40, 30, 15, and nobody was attending conferences and nobody was contacting us to have conferences. And, but I was adamant about keeping it in Naples and running it again in Naples, no matter what. So we did that again in 24. And then in 24, we also hit Miami, and in 25, we did Naples again, and then we hit Tampa. And then we did a partnership with BTC in DC this year. And now we're gearing up for the 26th event in Naples.
Fantastic. So, Jack, when you put these local events together, what are some of the challenges with looking at, a more local, smaller site that isn't accustomed to holding a Bitcoin event where your ticket sales are coming in last minute? What are some of those challenges? Yeah,
well, the ticket sales, the late break on ticket sales is really pretty common for us. I feel like we've just adapted to endure it and somehow grit it out, as things get down into the, you guys already know that 5 weeks, third week, that last week when suddenly a bunch of things all kind of come together. So it's, it's been pretty challenging, I suppose, to make all the necessary commitments, which of course everybody wants the big, the venue commitments and food and all the extra stuff, much further out than all of that. Which means, we have to rely on some of our partner relationships to kind of help get the lifting done, and then the ticket sales on it kind of come together and, make it kind of flesh it all out. But we've done a better job, I think. I mentioned the media kind of a treatment that we've been getting better at as we've experimented over the years or over the iterations at kind of promoting things and kind of ramping that up. And we've definitely felt a nice correlation. John, you probably would agree, right? That with the more kind of interest that we've gotten out there, whether using the different platforms, we've definitely seen a nice rise and a lift in things and people kind of showing up. just a little bit sooner, perhaps, but that seems to be kind of paying off. Let me see. What else would you add to that, John?
I can't remember. Do you guys increase your ticket prices as it gets closer, or do you keep them fixed the whole time?
Yeah, we just do a 3-tier. So we do a early bird and then a regular, and then the last 10 days when the most of the ticket sales happen, we do the last minute price. That's the highest price.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the last episode when we did the Unconference in September in New York. We had a hard cap. We couldn't put more than 400 people in that room. And so the last 10 tickets were $4,000 each, and we sold all 10 of them. But This is New York, this is Wall Street, right? It was company credit cards, and 4 of them didn't even show up, which was not a problem for me.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic. Gregg, I think you guys last year had a late rush on ticket sales as well, correct?
I'm currently in the late rush right now. Yeah. So I opened a week from today. So yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, very much in this region, there is a bit of a lastminute.com type thing going on. It was interesting what you said then, John, about the sort of the rivaling event. We've actually got Abu Dhabi Finance Week here going on at the same time as our conference. I better mind my P's and Q's actually, but certainly not the complementing of the events in the city as I kind of imagined in my brain was, this is just another great event to have in Abu Dhabi. They've got the F1, we've got the Finance Week, we've got Bitcoin MENA. But it is quite nice, I think, to start seeing, especially in Abu Dhabi. And I think everybody's seeing that right now, and you definitely would have seen that, Ed, at the Unconference. But all the suit coiners coming out in force, and a lot of the guys that maybe are coming to Abu Dhabi for traditional Finance Week and finding their way over to a Bitcoin conference. That for me, yes, the competition's there, and it might suck out some of the tickets from us. But if we can start to orange pill more and more of these TradFi guys whilst they're over here, hey, I like the competition.
Yeah. So. MENA is a region that not a lot of people in the U.S. or maybe even in Europe know very well. And what I find is I go to conferences all over the world and you get different audiences, right? Whether it's the Bitcoin conference in Vegas, which is a completely total, circus, having everything from the fat lady to the giraffes to everything at Bitcoin Vegas, all the way to Amsterdam, where it's more about the freedom and how Bitcoin's going to change the world. In Asia, it's a lot about speculation and dare I say, gambling. Tell us about that MENA audience. Who do you typically see there? Is it plebs? Is it sovereign wealth? Is it suits? Tell us about this audience there.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just talking about exactly this on a pod I did earlier on the weekend, but I don't know if you've listened to that and you're almost repeating it. But that was almost that's basically how I see it. America is the flagship, is a bit of everything. Amsterdam is certainly regulation, cypherpunk, self-sovereignty, etc. As you say, Asia being very much L2s and speculation. Bitcoin MENA was always, for me, they're doing lots of really interesting stuff here. The regulation is super transparent. So, when you had Choke Point 2.0 going on in America, a lot of big entities, OKX, Bybit, a lot of big entities came and set up over here in the UAE because it was one of the few places that had, especially coming out of COVID, lots of really easy ways for people to come here and live and work and remote and set up their business. And then this sort of space really had some clarity. So there's a lot of people that come over that kind of explore the business setup, the kind of environment. That's definitely something that the attendees, I see a lot of people like that have just, I wanted to check out this place anyway. And there's a Bitcoin conference here, so I'm going to come and check it out for business and for personal. Obviously energy is something that was really missing for me out of our sort of portfolio. I think it was almost 50% of the floor plan in Vegas was mining this year. Everybody knows the UAE and the Middle East being, oil and natural gas rich. But the things that they're doing with these modern nuclear power plants, all the big renewable infrastructure that's going in, the big infrastructure builds around AI, etc. I was just really keen to sort of have an event and try and attract an audience of really knowledgeable people in the energy sector that I think we're all in this echo chamber where it's like, why doesn't every single government entity, which is, running an energy grid, why are they not, plugging in mining into the grid? I think we forget that this is still quite an innovative and quite a new thing. So we get a lot of people from like the energy sector as well coming in, and we try and have a lot of content around that and really try to angle the kind of topics around how Bitcoin's not just great for as pristine money, but also has this really unique way in which it can be integrated into energy systems and being the first and last purchaser of energy, and really trying to revolutionize and make some of this infrastructure that they're building here a little bit more viable. So yeah, there's a lot of, I really like the energy focus here, the regulation focus here, of course, the sovereign wealth focus here. And we really see, this place, if you've never been here before, I think there's like 9 million people here right now. Only about 1 million of them are actual Emiratis. The rest of them are expatriates from all over the GCC, all over the world, really. So you go to Bitcoin meetups anywhere in the world, and they're quite a unique, eclectic group of people, but particularly in the UAE, they are really, really, really eclectic, a mix of people. So our room is anything from sort of blue collar, low income workers. There's a lot of them here. We've reduced our ticket prices this year to really try and get a lot of these people through the door, and we're doing a lot of initiatives there. But anything from sort of blue collar guys that are just interested in Bitcoin for remittance and saving, all the way up to sort of power players and leaderships in government and semi-government entities that are looking to explore Bitcoin and everything that it can do and touch. Yeah, it's really eclectic.
So maybe I made a bad assumption then. When people call me saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this Bitcoin conference," I always try to tell them, well, at least 50%, if not 80% of your attendees are going to be local, except for the big one in Vegas. The people don't travel that far for conferences, and so you got to really count on the local community. I would have made an assumption that 10% of your audience is local. Is that not true?
Yeah, if you're talking about UAE local, there's also like the GCC region, right, as well. So we do make sure we do a lot of big promotion push around sort of Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi, Jordan, etc. And obviously Turkey is not too far away from here, which has got incredible Bitcoin adoption. But I think our target this year, because we have sort of things with the government, I think our target this year, I think we got to about 3,000 international attendees last year, and our target this year is up to nearly 5,000. But that's the whole reason why Abu Dhabi and the UAE really does do events. It's a way to sort of stimulate the economy, bring in people in, make sure they come for a conference, stay and check out the town, go and do some attractions, et cetera, et cetera. They really try to make it as easy for people to use this place as a stop and to hop and to stay over and explore. So this kind of, I feel like this place is maybe a little bit different. It's already a transition, it's quite transitional. No, that's not the right word, but people are always popping in and out of this place, whether it's, we're right in the middle of Asia, right in the middle of Europe, just right in the middle of everywhere, really. So I think this event specifically, maybe against some of the other ones, definitely has certainly people that will travel in for it. But also the fact that this country is just full of people from all over the world, naturally, even if they're residences, but we've got people from, I know 3-4 people from El Salvador that have flown over for this one just because they wanted to come and check out Abu Dhabi as well. So yeah, eclectic as always, this place.
It doesn't hurt that the flights in and out of UAE are typically a lot cheaper. I made the choice to save $2,000 to fly through Qatar to get to South Africa, right? Because from Atlanta to Qatar to South Africa was $2,000 cheaper than the Delta nonstop. But those airlines there, they make it easy to get there, don't they? Yeah,
easy, and they're actually on time as well. That's quite interesting as well. They've got it quite dialed in over here, which is good. But they've really made this place the stop off. Whether it be Qatar, whether it be Dubai. It's just kind of built to attract people for all these types of things. So it's on the postcard for a lot of people as well, right? A lot of people want to come and check out the UAE. They've heard about it, so I feel like it's just giving people the opportunity to come, or an excuse to come and check it out.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's interesting you bring that up, that you made the assumption that most people would be local at a conference, because we look around and we see there's several conferences in El Salvador, and then there's the Bitcoin Medellin, and then Gregg just listed a bunch of conferences in Europe, and if it seems like in the community, as I'm talking to people, like they go to those, they love the fact that there's conferences all over the place that they can travel to, so they can see those bucket list places. And so I have sort of an unique announcement to make, that we have just recently decided to make Naples one of those destination events, because we have struggled with the traveling show and moving it from city to city, venue to venue. There's logistics complications, and then there's the support, local support from sponsors. And it seems like, I think everybody has probably experienced the first year that you do a conference, you're struggling to break even, and probably losing money in many cases. And so that's it's like, okay, so we go to Miami, and it's our first year in Miami, and we're struggling to break even. And then it was the next year, we didn't get the same kind of response, and the same, it was kind of dead in the water right away. And then we went to Tampa, and we could probably make a go of it in Tampa again, but the extra work and the extra coordination and all that. So we've decided to make a go of Bitcoin Day Naples on our home court, and elevate the experience a little bit and make it sort of a destination.
Yeah, cool. Jack, one of the things that I tell people that are starting a new conference, or, have a conference under 500 people, is that you want to keep it focused, right? Because if you have too many topics, people are going, well, I'm interested in that, not interested in that. And so, maintain some kind of focus so that you get the audience engaged. But Bitcoin Day does a fantastic job of bringing in people from all parts of Bitcoin and making it engaging. It was something that, the two times that I came to Naples, it was really a pleasant surprise that, by being a hyper-local event with this wide variety of people and being limited to, not limited, but, 150 people, it works. How do you explain that?
Oh, well, in some ways I look at it as like, the small conference is like the fast food of like professional development or something. It's, it's kind of meant to be a highlighted experience. It kind of draws you in with maybe some of the flashy stuff, which I know that sounds terrible to say, but we've tried to make it feel as engaging as possible, and work on the production design and the run of show kind of style, so that people feel very much connected to between the speakers and the audience, and the opportunities to kind of to chat and to get to know each other, and to have the more of the discussions, not just what you're hearing from in the room, but everyone's familiar with LobbyCon, and half the event is still happening out in the hallways or wherever out back. We've had just fantastic. I kind of want to say luck. We could perfectly design all of that. I never quite can, but. Between John and I and a couple of other of our partners that have come together, the chemistry ends up being kind of that tricky kind of thing. And most of the time it's been paying off. Sometimes it feels flat, and then we learned something about, how to redesign that. But I know for my part, we're always trying to figure out a way to kind of make it feel engaging, and that it's not just all hyper stimulation, that there's something that people kind of take away from it and then feel connected to the community in some way, even after you've left and gone home.
So Jack is really, really good at, he challenges me for every event, and we get down to the wire like this, and he's always, we got to have a theme. We got to have a theme. And so he challenges me and the team to come up with a theme. And then based on that theme, we design all of the panels to focus on that. And so it sort of has a common thread as you sit through the day. But the other thing is that we are so fortunate here in South Florida to have some of the coolest, most knowledgeable, influential Bitcoiners at our disposal, who are willing to support us and come and participate in the event. And then those, when people see that those speakers are on our docket, then it attracts other speakers and other sponsors. So we're just really lucky. Jack used the word luck. Yeah, we were very lucky, very fortunate to have this very strong core group of speakers and supporters, and they can talk on any Bitcoin topic, right? You know, we can throw some of the, like, I'll throw a name out. Bob Burnett is one of the people who's local here in South Florida. And, you know, he can talk about mining, but he can talk about anything Bitcoin related. And so, you know, the flow of the day, is focused on a theme, and then the quality of the speakers help to just make sure that theme gets reiterated throughout the day.
Yeah, great. Gregg, I know, you've got a lot of support from the BTC Inc. team. And one of the challenges when I was there was, with the Amsterdam conference, was the Amsterdam team had one vision and the US team had another vision. And it was always a little bit of butting heads. You probably get a lot of help from Craig on putting together, the speaker list and the agenda and such. But do you have that same challenge with a global team and a global event, or how do you balance that?
I've got to remember that we're not just on a call, and I'll perhaps that this may be watched a little bit wider. So I'll just be politically correct here when I say that.
I'll tell you something real quick, Greg. Yeah. When I was there, McShane and I butted heads all the time, and I was just like, God, man, why is this so hard? And then once I had to start organizing my own conferences, the first call I made was to McShane, and I'm like, dude, I am so sorry. This is so hard.
Yeah. Programming's difficult. Even today, I mean, I've just been in a few messages now. There's a couple of people that have dropped out last minute, people that are, not happy with their panel, their topic, the time. It's just, the programming is just wildly difficult, especially when you've got, a lot of quite, let's say strong personalities in this region that think that their time is the most important time. So yeah, it's there's certainly a challenge. I mean, look, I think all joint ventures are take a little bit of time to figure each other out, right? I mean, the guys in Amsterdam, this fourth year now, I think we're in, and they've definitely figured out the lanes in which everybody is really focused on. We have a joint venture over here in the UAE, actually, with my previous employers, which certainly, when I won't say that I'm not human when I tell you that, sometimes when you're laying your case from the other side against your previous employers, that's can be quite satisfying slightly. But it's about finding people's strengths, right? The first year, John, you said it's very difficult in the first year, right? You just want to put on an incredible event, make sure everybody turns up. And we were super lucky last year. Lots of things happened. We had 100K like 3 days before we opened. Obviously all the work that David had done with the Trump universe. We had the election result like 2 months before the event opened, and our speaker list for Bitcoin MENA 2024 it was really compelling. But if that election result had gone the other way, it would have been absolute toilet paper. It really would have been, which is the truth of the matter. I as an Englishman, I have never been more invested in any election in my entire life. I don't even care. I don't care for anything really, but I was just really desperate that my speaker list was going to be really compelling, and to get Eric Trump, Steve Witkoff, Paul Manafort, and these guys come into the UAE, just after the election result, just at this time where Bitcoin had just hit this mean price of 100K. It all sort of came together, and all the kind of cracks that were there all kind of went away. But certainly, going into year 2 and just about to open now, it's just about when you've got everybody wants to add value, right? But as you've worked with us, nobody else can sell a Bitcoin conference better than us, respectfully to Jack and John here. Nobody can do a better job of a Bitcoin conference than BTC Inc. Our media reach is insane. Obviously, our black book is pretty considerable at this point. And of course, our sponsor list is as well. And you've obviously got partners that are also trying to add their value and showing that they can provide, things that sort of add value to the event. And yeah, I can't say that it's not a stressful position to be in, being the only guy in the UAE when I've got my previous employers at one arm of the GV and my current employers in the US, and it's all to try and make sure that we're being diplomatic and everybody's voice is heard. But it's worked out so well so far. I mean, the last year's event was a slam dunk success. We were very lucky. This year, we're at a price which is below where we were last year, which is, I don't know, maybe it's a question. I mean, I know you've got questions, Ed, but I don't know if just sort of something that I'm realizing is I'm actually not seeing, maybe in a sales process it's different, but I've not really, we're in a much better position now with our tickets than we were last year. And then maybe that's just because it's a second year event, but I was kind of anticipating like a lower Bitcoin price was going to turn into, or a bit of a bearish vibe. I mean, I can't be bearish at 80 odd K. I mean, but I just, I don't know if that's translating for you at all.
Yeah, JC has this, JC's the head of revenue for BTC Inc. He has this, I don't know what you call it, a theory or this idea that the conference sales, sponsorships, and tickets has an 8-month lag on price. And when I first heard that, I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. There's no way to back that up. But I found it to be pretty true. And it's hard to explain, but there's like this 8-month lag on ticket sales and sponsorship interest on price. And where were we 8 months ago? We were at like, what, 110, 115? So it's like, that's kind of where we are. I don't think you're going to be able to have another 100K party next week. But it'd be cool if we did. But
where's your optimism, Ed? Come on.
That was so bearish.
Next week easily.
The bad thing about it was on some of our calls a few months ago, I was like 180K for my conference, and now everybody's messaging me being like, "You meant 80K, right?" But yeah, it is interesting. I really hope that, and I think one of the things that we've all been talking about this year is that some of the properties of Bitcoin more broadly are becoming more valuable to people outside of just the price. And I like to think that maybe that's starting to rear its head now, and the fact that some of the capital controls that people are seeing in Europe and other parts of the world at the moment, and people are having real big problems with transferring money, withdrawing money, traveling with money, setting up new accounts. I think the narrative around self-custody and censorship resistant money, I think, is still keeping people interested in Bitcoin. And that's why the price being down, I'm still seeing, we're tracking to have a much bigger event than we did last year, which is great.
Yeah, that's great. John or Jack, when I first started talking to you about this, John, you had mentioned there was, I guess, 8 other events, Omaha, Nashville, et cetera. Mm-hmm. What's been the challenge with maybe more Bitcoin days around the country? I know we tried to do one in Tyson's, but what's the challenge with doing more around the country? Who listening might say, you know what, I think we can do a Bitcoin day where I am, and what kind of market do you think is ideal for a Bitcoin day, and how can they get in touch with you to talk about it?
Well, I don't know that we'd be interested in doing it anymore, even if they did. But the challenges that we faced are, it takes a very strong local team. We worked with Bitcoin Bay, for example, in Tampa. And we were able to pull off a really great event. And then in Miami, we worked with one of the meetup groups that helped us pull together some speakers and sponsors. And that was a pretty good event. And we tried to recruit in more of those, because in Miami is such a big city, they have several meetup groups, and we tried to recruit in some more of the meetup groups to help participate. And it was a little bit of a struggle. And so it just takes a really strong team, a local team, because we can't, Jack and I don't have the bandwidth to go out and pound the pavement locally and bring in local speakers and bring in local sponsors and find the venue and all that kind of stuff that it takes to put on the event. So when we do get an inquiry, we tell people that we need to make sure that they can raise $20,000 to $30,000 in sponsorships, and that they can give us enough time to recruit a good local docket of speakers.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up here. Question I end with is, to inspire and motivate our 12 listeners. Why do you do it? Why do you subject yourself to this torture of being a Bitcoin conference organizer? Jack?
Well, I would say it's really been who I am, or who I've been for most of my professional life. I love seeing the feeling of transformative outcomes, and people that wander into the conversation, they experience something new, and then become part of the extended family, or from then on, or work together, all the permutations of that. I would say that's definitely a thing that kind of keeps me kind of driven and keeps me happy to work on things and find innovative ways to treat people to the one-of-a-kind experience.
John?
So I ask myself that question all the time. For me, it's about the community, and that's why I do the meetup group and the conference here in Naples. It's just building a community. I believe so strongly in the underlying hope and promise of Bitcoin. And so educating the community is important to me, providing a venue for education. I love the connections. I love watching two strangers meet up in the hallway and hit it off and find some common ground, that, they end up doing business together, or they end up becoming best friends, or maybe not best friends, but good friends in the future. And for some reason, that really gets me excited to see those connections being made during our events.
Yeah, I'm never going to be, I think I've just turned 40. I think I've kind of realized that I'm never going to be a developer anymore, or going to be able to build something really cool in Bitcoin other than something that I can use my own skills for. As John said, this is the only thing that gives me hope. I feel like I'm stood on the shoulders of giants that have brought this thing to the place that we are now after 17 years of its creation. And I just feel blessed and hopeful that this is the thing that might actually be able to get us out of some of the pickles that we're in right now. And, if I can use the skills that I've got in any way to try and help push that narrative and push that conversation and to, connect people. And that's all. The thing that I got out of Bitcoin MENA last year was, there was lots of people turning up regionally that were all in Candoras, and it was all flanked by security and protocol people. That's great to see those people there. But what really got me excited, and is getting me really excited this year, is all the people that came in under no fanfare, had just a couple of meetings set with David and a few other people. And those people just sneak in, have these ridiculous conversations, and then just leave. And then a few months later, you see announcements that are starting to happen. And, that's the stuff that really gets me excited. It's not even really everybody says, oh, what announcements are you going to have on stage this year? It's maybe a bit like JC's price theory. We lag that. I think it doesn't need to happen on stage. It's just the seeds that are planted on that show floor. That's the stuff that gets me excited and gets me coming back for more stress.
Spoken like a true big boat salesman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So great. Well, I will let you do shameless plugs here. I think this episode will air before Bitcoin MENA here, but if you want to give us some details on Bitcoin MENA and then about what you got coming on Bitcoin Day.
Yeah, for sure. So we are a week away, 8th to the 9th of December in Abu Dhabi at the Marina Hall in Adnec. Beautiful venue right on the waterfront there. We've got 3 passes, general admission. I think it's at $99 right now. It was $21 for a considerable period. Pro Pass, which is our new launch this year, which is around $700, I think, at this point. And then our Whale Pass, which is quite a bit of money, $6,000 right now, but you get I mean, if I was in the position to buy a Whale Pass for this event, we've got, not just have we got the whale, the deep on site, we've got a lovely outdoor terrace. We've got Ed, you'll be happy to know, I'm bringing in some of my experience from the boat days. We're bringing in a big super yacht to have some hospitality on board for the whales. We've got the whale night, which is in the new Kelly Slater surf, the big artificial wave in Abu Dhabi. We've got whales that can go surfing. We've got a golf day. Yeah, it's worth the money in my opinion, but I would say that. But yeah, 8th to 9th of December in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, until you get a whale pass, you think it's crazy, and then once you get one, you can never go back.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, what do you guys got coming, John Jack?
Yeah, so Bitcoin Day Naples, our signature event is January 17th in Naples, Florida. We are still negotiating with venues, so I'm not able to announce the venue at this point.
I love that. You've got dates before a venue. That's good work.
So a little inside information, since our 12 listeners are conference organizers, I do have a backup venue. I have a venue under contract. But as I said earlier in the podcast, we're wanting to elevate the experience this year. And so we're looking at 3 different beach resorts in Naples. And if we can negotiate a reasonable price for one of those beach resorts, that is where we will hold the event. But it's still questionable because they are very, very expensive.
That's amazing and quite interesting. And sorry, I'm just we're riffing a little bit now, but I really like like quite unique venues. I really, as much as when you get to a certain scale, it has to be kind of like an expo hall, I guess. We're quite lucky in Abu Dhabi that this one's on a waterfront and it's a bit unique and we can do some different stuff with it. But fair play to you. I think a beach club and stuff like that, I think having unique kind of setting. I don't know if you've ever been to the Satoshi Round Table in Dubai, but that is just an incredible format where it's almost like breakout sessions. It's like the best hotel you ever stayed at, just like full of Bitcoiners, and you can just go and talk about quantum attacks on Bitcoin by the pool. Like it's just like a really, really, I feel like I saw more conversation in this more relaxed environment. So yeah, that's a great idea, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, not me alone. Our whole team there has the idea. But fingers crossed. Pray, whatever you do for us, send us positive energy, whatever spirituality you practice, send us the energy so we can make that happen. But just a quick list of speakers that we have committed already. We do have Natalie Brunel coming. We got Lawrence Lepard, Bob Burnett, Dr. Sean Baker, Luke Dasher will be here, CJ Constantinos, and a whole host of other fantastic local. Ed Julien, right? Yes, of course, Ed Julien. I don't have you on the website yet, Ed. I gotta get that done. See, there's another inside back of the house conference organizer thing. People commit, and then you got to get them on the website. Otherwise, you forget.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's buying a ticket to come see me, but whatever.
I don't know. We should promote that heavily.
Yeah. And it's bitcoinday.io.
Bitcoinday.io, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And our regular ticket pricing right now set at $299. There is a Black Friday sale available till the end of the day today at 21% off for code Black Friday 21. And then our regular ticket price sales end on December 26th, and we flip to our highest level ticket price, which is $299.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Good luck with your events. If you are watching this on YouTube, please go to X to BTC CONFPOD. I don't know why I couldn't get CONFPOD. I guess somebody had it. And follow us there. If you're watching this on X, flip over to YouTube and just search for CONFPOD. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll see you at your events. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.